The galaxy was vast, old, and filled with countless civilizations. Among them stood the Galactic Consual, a council of the eldest and most powerful races. For ages they had gathered in their shining halls of crystal and light, believing they had already seen every kind of species the universe could offer. They were ancient, proud, and certain that no young race could surprise them. But one day new signals arrived. They came from a far corner of the galaxy, a place the Consual rarely paid attention to. The signals were strange, full of music, voices, laughter, and even arguments. They carried stories, not just numbers. The source of those signals was a species the Consual had long ignored: humans. At first, the Council treated it as a curiosity. Another young species, they thought. Perhaps brave, perhaps foolish, but certainly not special. Still, custom demanded that newcomers be tested, and so an invitation was sent. The Consual chamber prepared itself. Its ceiling reached higher than any mountain. Its walls glowed with streams of living energy. Beings of every kind gathered, creatures of stone, of fire, of wings, of shadow. They sat in their towering seats ready to look down on the newcomers. When the human ships arrived, they looked small compared to the fleets of the great empires. Their hulls were not covered in jewels of power, nor wrapped in shining armor. Their ships looked simple, almost fragile. Yet they carried themselves with quiet confidence, gliding into position as though they belonged there. And then the doors opened. The humans walked into the chamber. They did not rush. They did not tremble. They simply walked with steady steps. At their head was Captain Elena Hayes, chosen to speak for her people. Her hair was tied back, her uniform plain. No crown, no glowing staff, no display of dominance. Only a calm presence. The Consual waited for fear. They expected the humans to bow deeply, to stumble under the pressure of standing before civilizations millions of years older. They expected wide eyes and shaking hands. But instead, the humans did something no one in the chamber expected. They smiled. It was not arrogance. It was not mockery. It was something far stranger. A warmth in their eyes. A quiet curve of their lips. A silent message that said, "We are not afraid to be here." The Consual felt a ripple of unease. Beings who had lived for eons shifted in their seats. The smile unsettled them. Why? Because it carried something they had long forgotten. The first voice to break the silence was the leader of the council, a being of crystal and light whose voice echoed like music in a cave. "You are late," the leader said. "Civilizations rise for millions of years, yet you appear only now. Tell us, why should we take you seriously?" The chamber grew tense. Whispers spread. Some races laughed in low tones. Others sneered. A few did not even look at the humans, convinced this meeting was a waste of time. Captain Elena listened carefully. She did not rush her reply. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of beings older than the stars themselves. And then she smiled again. Her crew followed, their calm faces unshaken. "Our history is short compared to yours," Elena said softly. Her voice was not loud, but it carried. "But in our short years we have carried much. We know war. We know loss. We know hunger. We know hope. And we are still here." Her words were simple. The Consual expected long speeches, heavy promises, or desperate pleas. Instead, they received truth spoken plainly, carried by faces that still smiled despite the weight behind the words. The aliens could not understand it yet, but already some of them felt it. Something in the humans' presence was different. Something in their smiles whispered of storms survived, of darkness endured, of a light that refused to die. And so the first meeting began, not with fear, not with bowing, but with the strange, unsettling, powerful smile of humanity. The Consual chamber was silent after Captain Elena Hayes finished her words. The echoes of her calm voice still lingered like soft ripples across a dark ocean. For the first time in centuries, the Council was not quick to laugh, not quick to dismiss. They were listening, though many would never admit it. The leader of the Council tilted its crystalline head, glowing faintly as its voice filled the chamber once more. "Short lives, endless struggles. This is what you bring before us?" Elena's eyes did not waver. She stood tall, her crew beside her. Every human in that great hall seemed so small compared to the towering alien figures around them. Yet not one lowered their head. Not one hid their face. They all wore the same gentle expression, calm, steady, and smiling. From the upper seats, whispers began. A serpent-like being with golden scales hissed softly. They dare speak of suffering as though it were strength. A shadow creature, made of swirling smoke, laughed in a hollow voice. Short-lived creatures, daring to stand as equals. They do not yet understand how small they are. The humans heard the whispers. They were meant to hear them, but not a single human flinched. Not a single smile faded. Elena answered with the same steady tone. We do not come here to claim greatness. We come to share truth. We may be young, but in our youth we have walked through fire. Our history is written in struggle. We have seen our own world nearly destroyed by our own hands. And yet, she paused, letting the weight of silence carry her words. We chose to keep building. We chose to keep hoping. That is why we are here. Some of the older species scoffed, dismissing her as naive. But others leaned forward. They had seen many species rise and fall. They knew what endless conflict could do to a race. It could break them. It could scatter them into dust. And yet here were humans, standing in the heart of the galaxy, smiling as if nothing could crush them. The Consual leader spoke again, sharper this time. Do you think survival makes you worthy of standing among us? Do you think pain makes you strong enough to join this circle? Elena's lips curved in the same small, soft smile. No, she replied. Pain alone does not make us strong. But what we do after pain, that is what matters. We survived our mistakes, but more than that, we learned from them. We carried the weight and still chose to look toward tomorrow. Her words cut deeper than the Consual expected. For many of the ancient races, time had dulled the memory of struggle. Their lives stretched so long that they had forgotten the sharp edge of desperation. They had forgotten what it meant to fight for every breath, for every step forward. The humans reminded them. Still, not all were moved. From the far corner, a giant of living stone rumbled angrily. Empty words. If they wish to stand here, let them prove themselves. Let us see if their ships and their people can endure more than speeches. Murmurs rose quickly. Some agreed, pounding the air with heavy voices. Others shook their heads, uneasy. But in the end, the chamber filled with a single idea. The humans would need to be tested. Elena understood this without anyone explaining it. She looked back at her crew. Their eyes met hers, calm and ready. And then, she looked up at the towering Consual once more. If a test is what you need, she said, her voice carrying through the chamber, then give it. We do not fear your judgment. Her words struck like a spark against dry wood. The chamber erupted into noise. Some shouted in anger, others in excitement. For the first time, the Consual felt something they had not felt in ages. Anticipation. And still, through it all, the humans stood in silence. Their faces unshaken, their smiles unwavering. The weight of judgment had been placed upon them, yet they carried it as if it were nothing more than a stone in the palm of their hand. The chamber of the Consual glowed brighter as the decision was made. A test would be given, just as it had been given to other species before. No one was allowed to stand among the Great Council without proving their worth. A section of the floor opened, revealing a vast projection of space. Stars shimmered, and from the darkness came hundreds of metallic shapes. They were war drones, cold machines designed only to destroy. The Council had used them for ages as a measure of strength. The stone giant who had called for the trial thundered his approval. Let them face the swarm. If they survive, perhaps they are worth hearing further. Many others nodded. To them it seemed fair. To humans it was meant to be impossible. Captain Elena Hayes stood silently, her eyes fixed on the swarm of drones displayed before them. Her crew shifted slightly but showed no fear. Every human in that chamber understood the weight of what was being asked of them. Still none stepped back. The Consual leader looked down at her. Do you accept this trial? Elena lifted her chin. Her voice was calm, steady, and carried without effort. We accept. Humanity has faced greater storms than these machines. We will not turn away. The chamber's projection expanded until it surrounded everyone. Now it felt as if all present were standing in the middle of a battlefield among the stars. The human fleet, small and humble compared to the vast forces of other races, drifted into position. The swarm began to move. Drones came from every direction, sleek metal predators, engines burning bright, weapons ready to cut through flesh and steel alike. The chamber watched with hungry eyes. Most expected the human ships to fall quickly, but then it began. The first wave of drones rushed forward, weapons firing. Human ships did not scatter wildly. They did not waste fire in panic. Instead, they moved together, Precise, controlled like dancers on a stage. One ship drew the enemy's attention, another struck from behind. Small frigates shielded the larger vessels while the larger ones protected the weak. Their formation was not of raw power. It was of trust. Every ship relied on the others. Every captain trusted their comrades. The humans fought not as separate vessels, but as a single mind, a single heart. The first wave of drones fell. The chamber grew restless. Some leaned forward. Some frowned. Others exchanged uneasy looks. The second wave came faster, stronger. The drones adapted, spreading out, trying to overwhelm the humans. This time the humans tightened their formation, weaving in and out with dangerous precision. Their weapons fired not in endless streams, but in perfect timing. Each shot counted. Each strike was meant to save lives, not waste energy. When the second wave fell, the Consual grew quieter. The humans did not cheer. They did not roar in victory. They simply continued, their faces calm, their smiles faint. To them, this was not triumph. This was survival, something they had practiced for all their history. The third and final wave of drones appeared. It was larger than the others combined, a flood of metal and fire. Even some of the elder species shifted uneasily. This wave had crushed others before, but the humans did not waver. They adapted again. Their ships moved with even greater unity. One sacrificed its shields to protect another, and yet not a single crew hesitated. Their voices carried through calm, steady, clear, calm. They fought as people who had long accepted death, yet chose life again and again. When the last drone burned, the battlefield fell silent. The human fleet remained, damaged, scarred, but standing. The projection faded. The chamber returned to its shimmering glow. The Consual sat frozen in silence. The humans had passed the trial, not with overwhelming power, not with perfect technology, but with something the Consual could not name. Something hidden behind those steady smiles. Elena Hayes looked up at the council once more. Her face was calm. Her voice was gentle. Your trial is strong, but this is not the hardest we have faced. We come from a world where survival itself is the trial. Today was only another storm, and we are a people who always walk through storms. The chamber remained silent. Even the ancient races who had seen everything struggled to find words, because in that moment they understood. Humanity's true strength was not in fire or steel. It was in their spirit. The chamber of the Consual was filled with silence. The trial had ended, and the humans had done the impossible. Their fleet was smaller, weaker, and less advanced than those of the elder races, yet they had survived the swarm. Not only survived, they had done so with precision, with unity, and with calm hearts. For the first time in centuries, the Consual could not find words. Across the seats, alien eyes and shapes shifted uneasily. The giant of stone who had called for the trial rumbled in frustration. The serpent of golden scales lowered its head, not with respect but with suspicion. The shadow being of smoke whispered softly, its voice like wind through empty halls. This is not strength. This is something else. Something dangerous, others murmured, debating quietly. Some called it luck. Some called it trickery, but deep inside each of them felt the same strange weight. The humans had shown something the Consual had not seen in a very long time. They had shown endurance. Captain Elena Hayes stepped forward again. She did not bow, she did not boast. She simply looked around the chamber, her face calm, her eyes steady. And once more she smiled. Your test was strong, she said softly, but we have faced storms greater than this. On our own world, we nearly destroyed ourselves. We fought wars that should have ended us. We have lost billions to hunger, to disease, to fire and steel, and yet we are still here. Her words carried across the chamber like a quiet wave. They were simple, almost too simple for the Consual to accept. And yet in their simplicity there was truth, a truth that even the eldest of races could not ignore. The stone giant slammed a heavy hand against its seat. Do not be fooled. They hide behind smiles, but they are dangerous. A race that survives every storm will one day bring the storm to us. A ripple of agreement followed. Many nodded. Many feared. The Consual had seen young species rise before. They had seen ambition turn into empire, empire turn into war, war turn into destruction. Could humans be any different? But there were others who hesitated. A winged being with feathers of silver leaned forward. Its voice was soft, melodic. Perhaps we see danger because we have forgotten what it is to hope. These humans remind us of something we have lost. The chamber fell into debate. Voices rose, clashing like thunder and fire. Some called for rejection. Some demanded destruction. Others whispered that perhaps humanity was exactly what the galaxy needed. Through it all, the humans stood silently. They did not argue, did not plead. They only watched with calm expressions, as though they had already known this storm would come. Their smiles never left their faces, though the council debated their very existence. For the elder races, this was unsettling. They had seen pride, arrogance, and anger before, but they had never seen a young race face judgment with such quiet peace. At last, the consual leader raised a hand of crystal light, silencing the chamber. These humans are unusual. Their strength is not in weapons nor in numbers. Their strength is in something deeper, something that unsettles us because it reminds us of what we once were. The leader's voice grew softer. They smile even now, though their fate is uncertain. They smile as though they already know the end of the story. That smile is what frightens us. Elena stepped forward once more, her voice steady but gentle. We do not smile to mock you. We smile because we survived the worst of ourselves and we still found hope. We smile because we see family here, not enemies. We smile because we believe the galaxy can be more than fear and suspicion. Her words fell into the uneasy silence. Some members of the council turned away, unwilling to hear more. Others lowered their eyes, remembering faintly a time when they too had believed in something beyond power. The silence deepened, heavy and restless. For the first time in 1,000 years, the consual found themselves unsure. The uneasy silence in the chamber stretched long. The humans had spoken, their smiles still calm, their voices soft yet unshaken. The consual had seen them survive the trial, had heard their words, and yet the chamber was restless. Fear had begun to creep into the hearts of the elder races. The giant of stone broke the silence first. Its deep voice rolled like thunder. Do you not see? These humans are dangerous. They survive everything. Every storm, every fire, every trial. A race that refuses to fall is the race we should fear the most. The serpent of golden scales hissed in agreement. Its tongue flickered as it spoke. Survival is not peace. Endurance is not harmony. They will spread. They will fight. They will consume until nothing remains. They smile because they know they cannot be stopped. The shadow being of smoke swirled darker. They hide behind soft words, but behind their smiles there is iron, a spirit that cannot be bent. And a spirit that cannot be bent will one day choose to bend others. Many nodded. Many agreed. The fear in their voices spread through the chamber like wildfire. The humans had survived, yes, but in that survival, the council saw something they could not control, something they could not predict. But not all were convinced. The silver-feathered being with soft wings spoke again, its voice calm, like a song. Perhaps we fear them, because they remind us of what we once were. Do you not see it? That spark, that will, that strange, unbroken hope. It unsettles us because it is something most of us have lost. The chamber fell into murmurs once more. Some looked away, unwilling to face the truth. Others stared at the humans, trying to see past those strange, steady smiles. And the humans, they remained still. They did not interrupt. They did not defend themselves with fire or anger. They stood quietly, watching the council debate their fate, their faces calm, their smiles unbroken. Captain Elena Hayes finally stepped forward again. Her voice was gentle, but her words carried weight. We understand your fear. It is natural to fear what is new, what is different, what cannot be controlled. But we are not here to conquer. We are not here to take. We are here because we believe the galaxy is greater when its voices are joined together, not torn apart. Her words did not calm everyone. The stone giant growled in frustration. The serpent hissed louder. The shadow being spread across its seat like smoke in a fire. But still some among the council leaned closer, drawn to the truth in her voice. Elena did not stop there. She looked directly at the consual leader, her eyes steady. You see our smiles and you wonder what they hide. They do not hide power. They do not hide conquest. They carry memory. They carry hope. They carry the knowledge that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will come. That is why we smile, even here before you. For a moment, even the fiercest voices fell silent. The consual leader of crystal and light looked down at her. Its glowing form flickered faintly as though uncertain. You speak of hope as though it were strength. Elena nodded. Because it is. Weapons can be broken. Ships can be destroyed. Even empires can fall, but hope, carried by those who refuse to give up, cannot be destroyed. That is humanity's strength. The chamber fell quiet again. Fear still lingered heavy in the air, but alongside the fear, something else had begun to grow. A question, a doubt. Perhaps, just perhaps, the humans were not only dangerous. Perhaps they were something more. The silence was no longer only uneasy. It was thoughtful, restless, divided, and through it all, the humans stood, their calm smiles unchanged, waiting for the storm of judgment to pass. The consual chamber glowed faintly, filled with whispers and uneasy silence. The arguments had raged long enough. Some races demanded rejection. Others whispered of destruction. A few spoke of hope, but in the end all eyes turned toward the leader of crystal and light. The leader rose slowly, its body shimmering with colors like 1,000 suns. Its voice, when it came, echoed with both power and age. "Humans," it said, "tell us truly. What do you seek here? Do you come for power? Do you come for resources? Do you come for respect? Or do you come to take what is not yours?" The chamber stilled. The question was sharp, cutting through every whisper, every fear. All waited to hear the answer. Captain Elena Hayes stepped forward once more. She did not hurry. Her movements were calm, her expression unchanged. She stood in the center of the chamber, a small figure among giants, yet she carried herself as though she belonged. Her crew stood behind her, their faces calm, their lips curved into that same gentle smile. She raised her head and spoke, her voice soft yet steady. "We do not come to demand. We do not come to take. We come to share. We know pain and we know joy. We have lost countless lives to war, hunger, and mistakes. We have walked through centuries of darkness, and yet in the darkest moments we chose not to fall. We chose to smile. Not because life was easy, but because life was worth living." Her words fell like rain on dry earth. The consual chamber, for all its grandeur, had not heard words like these in an age. Simple words. Honest words, she continued, her eyes sweeping across the council. "You fear us because we endure, but endurance is not conquest. Endurance is survival, and survival gives us the chance to build, to grow, to dream. We smile because we carry the memory of our suffering and still choose hope. We smile at you now, not as conquerors, but as kin. We see family here, not enemies." For a moment, the chamber was silent, truly silent. The whispers stopped. The anger paused. Even the shadow being of smoke did not stir. The silver-feathered being lowered its head, its soft voice breaking the silence. "I see it. Look into their faces. They do not smile to mock us. They do not smile because they are blind. They smile because they have already seen the worst and they survived it. That is what unsettles us. That is what makes us afraid." The stone giant grumbled low, but even it did not roar as before. The serpent of golden scales hissed softly, yet its voice lacked the same sharpness. The chamber was changing. Fear still lingered, but alongside it was something else. Respect, however reluctant. The consual leader leaned closer, its glowing eyes fixed on Elena. "You speak of hope as if it were a weapon. You smile as if it were armor. Do you believe such things can protect you in this galaxy?" Elena's smile deepened, but it was gentle, not proud. "Yes," she said, "because weapons grow old and armor breaks, but hope endures. It carried us through our own destruction. It carried us through wars and despair, and it carries us still. That is why we stand here. That is why we smile in your faces even now." Her words echoed through the chamber like a heartbeat. Simple, clear, true. And for the first time in thousands of years, the consual felt something stir within them. Something dangerously close to hope. The ancient races had built their council on fear, on power, on control. They had forgotten the strength of belief, of unity, of the unbroken will to continue. But now, standing before them, the humans reminded them of a truth they had lost. The truth was written in their faces, in their calm eyes, in their steady voices, in their quiet, unwavering smiles, and it could not be ignored. The consual chamber had never felt so heavy. The words of Captain Elena Hayes still echoed in the vast hall of crystal and light. The humans had spoken of pain, of survival, of hope, and of the strength hidden in their smiles. Now the council had to decide. For long moments, the ancient races said nothing. They looked at one another, uneasy, restless. The stone giant glared, its voice rumbling like distant thunder. "They speak well, but words are not enough. Endurance may be strength, but strength is also danger. One day they may rise too high. One day they may turn against us, the serpent of golden scales hissed, its eyes narrowed. They smile because they know they are clever. That smile hides ambition. I say we reject them. Better to stop the fire while it is small. The shadow being spread across its seat, its voice whispering like smoke in a dying fire. Fear them, fear the unbroken spirit, for it will never bow, it will never yield. But other voices rose against them. The silver-feathered being with its calm, gentle tone spoke again. You fear them because they remind you of what you once were. We were young once too. We struggled, we fought, we hoped. Look into their faces. They do not seek to dominate. They seek to share. If we reject them, we reject the very spirit that gave birth to our council. The chamber fell into argument. Voices clashed, rising like storms. Yet through it all, the humans stood quietly, smiling. They did not try to defend themselves further. They had said what needed to be said. Now they waited, calm in the face of judgment. At last, the consual leader rose again. Its body glowed brighter than before, casting rays of light across the chamber. Slowly, the voices fell silent. All eyes turned to the leader, waiting for the final word. The leader's voice was steady but softer now, almost thoughtful. I have listened. I have seen. I have heard the fear, and I have heard the truth. These humans are unlike any race we have welcomed. They are fragile, yet they endure. They are scarred, yet they smile. They are dangerous, yes, but perhaps not because they seek to conquer. They are dangerous because they remind us of what we have forgotten. It looked directly at Elena Hayes. Humans, you are welcome among us. The words rang out, final and clear. The chamber fell silent again, but this silence was different. Not uneasy, not fearful. It was heavy with meaning. Some of the elder races bowed their heads in acceptance, though reluctantly. Others stayed still, their eyes narrowed with suspicion. But none dared to speak against the decision of the leader. Elena Hayes bowed her head slightly, her expression calm, her smile gentle. Her crew did the same. They did not cheer. They did not shout in triumph. They simply smiled because that was enough. And in that moment, something shifted in the chamber. The elder races, who had lived for millions of years, felt something stir within them. It was faint, fragile, but undeniable. It was hope. As the humans turned to leave, their ships waiting to carry them back into the stars, many council members found themselves still watching. They had seen weapons, empires, armies, and power before, but never had they seen a race stand so firm with nothing but endurance, truth, and a smile. For some, fear still remained. For others, respect had been born, but in every heart, one thought lingered. Perhaps the most powerful weapon in the galaxy was not fire nor steel, nor endless armies. Perhaps it was the simple human ability to smile in the darkest of places and mean it. And as the human ships left the great hall and returned to the stars, the consual knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy would never be the same again, because humanity had arrived. And they had come smiling,